Oh yeah, here we are. Sound looks good. Camera's on. Nice, everything is good to go. Welcome everybody. Marcelo here, your friendly community manager for Skyweaver and Horizon. Glad to have you guys here. And people are already having seizures with the illustrations here. That's good. So yeah, it's a nice little patch notes today, right? So John has been quite busy for the last couple of weeks, so he'll be making our lives much more interesting when the patch goes live tomorrow. So a lot of changes, some new cards, as you can see here from the illustration already. We haven't released a super new card in maybe a month or something like that, maybe even more. So that's good, right? We are increasing the ranks, and who knows where the overflow cards will go. No prisms, who knows? And this is what we have been doing. Everybody's super excited. Sorry for last week. Last Saturday my connection wasn't up to snuff. So, and yeah, we had other issues, so we couldn't have the stream, but here we are, okay? And where should I start? Let me see here, people in the chat. Yes, exactly. It's quite hard to not call the mustache kettle a pot of greed, right? That's a good fair point. Okay. Oh no, only at 1080p this time. Twitch mocks us. Twitch plays with our feelings. God damn it. That's so annoying. I thought we would have 720p enabled forever. Oh well. I'll try getting in touch with them later on. Okay, so while we are here, let us start with something different and something that's not here. And we have our special guest, Brusaurus, in this one. All right, she's an unwilling and unknowing participant in this one, right? So, okay, bear with us. So let's see here. What do I have opened here? This one. Yeah, this one here. See, Brew here. See if you guys realize what's going on here. This is something that we have been working for the past 6 weeks or so, right? That's for our streamer and content creator friends, right? So, any guesses? It's quite easy, right? Exactly. It's our Twitch extension overlay that's basically functional already, right? So this is we just got a clip from Brooke playing the game, and here we are, right? Everything is still using mock data, all right? So don't get too excited, right? But you already see all the functionalities here, right? About graveyards, when you have the mouse over, you have the cards and etc. So this is it. Hey Iceco, yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, that's cool, right? And we have a second one here, but it's basically the same thing, right? Just the classic overlay functionality, respecting the angles, the way we display cards. It will be something very familiar for our Skyweaver players and streamers, right? So I already have it in my Skyweaver Live here, so in theory I could have a live stream right now with it. However, we are using mock data, so yeah, it wouldn't be better than what you're seeing here, right? So this probably should be coming the next 4 weeks. So we are basically halfway there. 6 weeks in the making, so yeah, you can expect that maybe end of July, beginning of August, okay? So, and again, to work exactly as any other such overlay you guys are used to for Hearthstone, Magic the Gathering, anything else, right? This is super important. I don't have to explain the the need for this for you guys. So we were very, very silent about this one, so that's cool, right? I hope it's a nice little surprise, and it's a little side project that we're having here right now. Yes, exactly, everything to make the life easier for viewers and for the content creators, right? So I'm super psyched about this, and this was a priority early on, so there you have it, right? So work is being done in this front. Good. So we have Kitchen Nightmares, alright? Sponsored by our good friend Azrael and his spicy memes and names and etc. that we all love. So this patch is quite interesting. First of all, we have a couple of improvements to the animations and stuff like that. We also heard your comments in relation to animation speed and stuff like that, so we are going to take care of that, okay? So don't worry. We don't want animations to become a liability, so there you have it. So we have 5 new units added to the game, right? We have Chester, Casket, Zero, Homebrew, and Tallbell. I think it's relatively easy, right, to discover which one they are. Yeah, they are all kind of dark and spooky and etc. Illustrations are all fantastic. I really like the little mouth and the dangle here on the bell. That's such a nice touch. I don't think I've ever seen a fantasy bell with a mouth over here, so let's go. Hey little hippie, welcome to the stream. So, animatronic monster thingy element confirmed? Absolutely, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be like Five Nights at Freddy's and Chuck E. Cheese animatronics running after people. Alright, imagine what we can do for Halloween, right? So there you have it. So cool, right? Always exciting seeing new units being added to the game. John and Coulter, they have a lot more in store for you guys, but of course, right, we are still constrained by the limits of the closed beta. We can't expand now. We wanted 100 cards per prism, and we're sticking to that up to the open beta. Okay, so there's that. Hey Antibans. Oh, you can't only hear the stream through audio only mode? Yeah, the Twitch app is full of surprises, unfortunately. Yeah, you should be able to. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to. Yeah, sorry about that. I was pretty sure that we would have 720p for today's stream. That was a bummer. So, yeah. So, shame on you, Twitch. I even have the Twitch glass here, and that's how they treat us. Unfair. Sorry, I'll be drinking lots of liquid because it's like 40 degrees here in Spain and my life is miserable right now. Okay, so new cards, improvements to animations. We have the Twitch overlay being worked on and basically already functional. And of course, if you're paying attention to the chat, you have seen, courtesy of Hanu, that we are also almost done with the tutorial, right? So the tutorial is pretty much done. It's a nice introduction to the lore for you guys that are interested in lore and etc. I think the tutorial is a nice stepping stone, and it will help the new players when the open beta start, right? So there we go. Hydrate has been removed. Yeah, so I don't want to show it here today. I want it to be more of a bit of a surprise for you guys, and especially I don't think the tutorial is super important for you here because you're already very experienced players, but maybe it's worth a play so you can see a little bit of the tone and the lore direction that we want to follow. Okay, so there you have it, and this is something that should be coming also pretty soon. I don't think it will be ready for tomorrow, but hey, don't quote me on that. The team is super fast, and that might come around, right? Yeah, exactly. Lore is always good. So of course we couldn't have a bunch of lore yet because we're just working through the most important features such as gameplay, economy and stuff like that. It's always a plus. I agree with you folks. So let's jump into the patch notes here from a John and design team. Okay, so a bunch of stuff, so let's try to go through them relatively quickly. So new cards, okay, so I think we had quite a few of them. Hush, it's a nice little air spell that will give target unit silence. Okay, so it's a token, so we don't see an element prism here. So yeah, it's gonna be a heartbreaker, definitely. The Demon Pact, okay, back to the game in its original incarnation. Here, don't mind the little cuts here. Alright, this will be fixed in the game. It's just an issue when we were generating the cards for the patch notes here. So Grave Omen, also back to the game. Dust your top dead unit to give target unit -3/-3. The potent way to deal with armored units for a very low cost. Can you use demon? Yeah, this is a good. It's a good possibility. I remember that I tried it at one point and it didn't work, but John might be able to clarify if you use Demon Pact and you have no units if you get to summon the beast. All right. So I remember this not working. All right. Should work on an empty board. So there you have it. All right. It's another double whammy for you people. So Steel Shield, also our hated guard, armor, banner, and lead defender is making a comeback. 9 health, 7 cost, can stop the best of them. The new Jacko, alright? Come on, this art, it's super awesome. So Jacko, alright? Both players draw a low cost dark spell onto their hero when Jacko dies. 1 cost to chew. It's a guard heart unit. Yeah. Good old Beat, also another heartbreaker making a comeback. Lots of dark units making a comeback here. Same thing, at sunrise you swap power and health, so beware of the Beat. Spiderella, one of my favorites, also making a comeback. Now with the different, we have changed the way Spiderella works. Now she is not the eat half of your life. She will give the enemy hero dazed upon glory. Grime, also coming with Anima. Here making a comeback. Glory, you give enemy units -1 power. So it's a very nice cheap way early on to start chewing on the opposition if you have the opportunity to skip their guards. Okay, so Volcanic Blast, also another cool removal card making a comeback. You dust top that 3 dead cards in both graveyards to do 3 damage to each unit. Okay, no hero unit. Then units are flamed if fire was dusted. So let's see. It's a good way to use fire cards in your graveyard if you want some extra flames. Yeah. So we have Fury Mask here, also making a comeback. 2 cost banner effect and your hero fights target unit, and if lethal, everybody gets 1 power. Everybody meaning every unit, okay? No hero buffing with this one except for the banner in Fury Mask. Yeah. So also our good old extinction events making a comeback here. Each unit is damaged equal to their cost. Okay, so expect that. Look at the Enfuego, spicy Enfuego here. So your fire and light spells do 1 damage more. I like it with the armor. And the sick burn here, I believe. So those volcanic blast fizzle if it fails to dust cards. Yeah, so John has already answered it. So yes, you need at least three cards in each graveyard, otherwise it will fizzle. There you have it. Chester. Let's welcome Chester to heart, alright? So it's a card close to my heart. It's a lead Chester on top of that. So on death you draw 2 spells. So 3 cost 2/2. Nice boost. Getting 2 spells on death is nothing to sneeze at. And it comes with lead and guard. Chester ate a card and replaced it. That's cool. So another one for heart, also 3 costs. This one 3/3. Casket. It comes chained, of course, right? Look at the illustration. And on death you draw a unit and you give it fate and reveal it. Trigger its death effects. So nice way maybe to tutor death effects. Depending on how you play this one in Constructed, you can do some nice spicy things. I like it. Stop giving death decks even more death craziness. But come on, Elfrat. It's death. It has to be deathy. Zero's coming as a metal agility unit. So 2 cost, 2/2. Also leaded and armored. And on death, does the enemy stop 2 dead cards. So nice way to deal some graveyard dusting action here. Very cheap card, so you can play this early on. And 2 health armored units in the beginning of the game, they're usually kind of hard to deal with. So homebrew, also another leaded friend here. Heart, it's a mind unit, 2/3. And upon summon and death, both players draw a 1 cost card. So it's a nice double whammy here. Upon summon and upon death, both players will get a 1 cost card. So card can be spell or unit. That's pretty cool. And it's a decent guard to boot also, so nice. Redwood, returning to the game. 2/4 Earth unit in Wisdom. At sunrise you spend 1 mana to get +1/+1 to Redwood. So it will draw energies from the Mana Sun to become an inflatable unit. And the Toll Bell. Let's see what craziness is that. So it's a mind unit, 2 Wisdom, alright, 1/3. With armor plus wither, so nice keyword action here. And when the enemy overdraws their hand, you do 1 damage to a random enemy. So there we go, right? It's a good way to punish people with a hydrate, for instance, something like that. So that's quite interesting here. And yeah, I like this card very much. It has potential. I'm sure there's a lot of unseen potential here with Tollbell, with casters and some other overdrawing effects. Yeah, that's interesting. No, not Nightmare. Come on, everybody loves Nightmare. Good old Nightmare is also making a comeback, though. Yes, exactly. It's a good point for Redwood. Philip is mentioning that yes, there is a tax, right? You start with 1 less mana each round if you want the inflatable effect. So keep that in mind, right? Okay. Speaking of hydrate, let's keep the hydration going. So yeah, so bunch of new cards coming into the game, some old faces and 5 new ones, which is always cool. So let's see what was removed then as a counter. So Tabby, Hollow Husk, Bone Mask, Shatter, Lightning Vial, oh no, Mask Weaver, Sapphire, Zato, Dungeon Master, Mad Ronin, Kingslave, Frostclaw, Sickburn, Grifter, and Flame Noble are in the bench. Okay, so expect them coming back to the game at a later date. Imagine a Nightmare with guard. That has already happened. So yeah, there we go. So let's see here then the modified card. So most of the changes are here. So first one, a light. So a light lost its banner, and it was draw a low-cost light spell onto your hero and then reveal spells in the enemy hand. That's the old effect. Now you draw a low-cost light card, reveal it and spells in the enemy hand. Okay, so you reveal the card that you pick, okay, and also spells in the enemy hand. Okay, so that's pretty cool. I like it. Nice. So instead of drawing onto your hero now, a light is a bit more controlled. It goes to your hand even though you reveal it, and you keep the reveal action for the spells going the same way that we had before. So that's okay. It's good if you want things in your hand, however it's not great if you wanted to use a light to overwrite attachments and conditions and stuff like that, so keep that in mind. Desire, our good old Raka, is back with a bit of a nerf bat, or as John mentions here, unbuffed. So it was a bit chunky, and now it's back to 9-9, where it started. So let's see. Twist and Turn. Twist and Turn now costs 4. Alright. And before it would dust each unit, and then both players draw a unit into play for each element they dusted, and then give each dazed. Now you dust target unit, so not each unit. That player draws a unit into play of its element and give it dazed. Alright, so that's pretty interesting. It's a fundamental change in how Twist and Turn works. I always had this difficulty playing Discovery, that whenever I had Twist and Turn, I always had good units in play, and my enemy had crappy ones. So I was always very hesitant to use Twist and Turn most of the times. So now giving us a bit more control and reducing the dazed craziness, it's also, Antibans was brutalizing people with it. So there you go. See, Antibans, your fame precedes you. So there you have it. So ego-wise, now it's called a meme. Oh no, this one is gonna see action in the social media. So text, now dust your hand, then conjure a card for each card in the enemy hand. Now you dust your hand, draw a spell for each card in the enemy hand. Okay, so now you don't conjure cards, you draw spells. Okay, so it can be good, it can be bad, but you gotta remind that you're not getting any units from meme. Okay, only spells. So there we go. I think this is the prelude for the Meme Weaver card that we're gonna add in the future. So you saw it here first, folks. Can't tell if this card has been made a meme or not. That's a good one. Toil and Trouble. Before it would do 1 damage to units. If lethal, give ally units +1 power. Now you do 1 damage to a target and the characters next to it. So left and right. So you can damage the enemy hero, which is good. And now to reduce, to compensate for the damage, overall damage reduction, right? Because before you would damage every single unit, now only up to 3, you get a Wither. A Wither Blink in Toil and Trouble. So there you have it. John is mentioning here that he doesn't want too much of an emphasis on adjacent units and stuff like that, but again, having the option and having some cards with this flavor is a good thing. Okay, you let us know as usual, right? Let us know if you like it, if you don't, and we'll balance accordingly. So Motishi here, good old Motishi, one of my favorite units, right? Motishi was originally a hero, if you guys don't know it, right? In the early days of the game, in the end of 2018, we were thinking about heroes, and Motishi is one of the heroes that I had created for that. Several people in the company did that, And Motishi means monarch in Yoruba languages in Africa. So there you go. It's our cultural moment here for Skyweaver. So let's see what happens here. Good old Motishi, I can see that he lost 1 point of health, which is bad for him, but let's see the text. Before Inspire spell, you draw a high cost unit that costs less than the spell into play. Now it's an Inspire spell, same trigger, you draw a high cost unit of the spell's cost or less into play. Okay, so it returned to its earlier and more powerful self, in my opinion, right? So there you have it. You can find units matching in cost, not just less than the cost. So there we go. Whoop whoop. There we have it. So Luna now costs 4 from 3, and she has a new keyword, right? So now instead of stealth, it's another lifesteal unit. It has moved to wisdom from intellect. Now it's a 4/3/4, gained a little bit of extra health. And instead of having the shroud effect that she was famous for, now it has twist and turn. So keep that in mind. 8 total cost for Luna. And now instead of a summon effect, you have a sunset effect. So before on summon, you would conjure an enemy spell onto this unit and then give it -1 cost. That was the second incarnation of Luna post Shroud. And now, upon sunset, gets +1/+1 if an enemy is sleeping. So nice lunatic theme here, and I like this very much. I think it's a beautifully designed card now. Love the illustration. So yeah, I think this is pretty exciting. Oh my gosh, yeah, exactly. So Philippe has already realized the twist and turn shenanigans that you can use to buff Luna. So there you go. All those big mind people here, big brain. Gear grind. So let's see here what happens. Same cost. Before, damage target unit equal to the size of your hand and then mulligan your hand. Now you damage a target unit equal to the cost to the size of your hand, sorry, and then give metal cards in your hand -1 cost. Then you mulligan your hand. Right. So similar to Head in the Clouds, as John is mentioning here in the flavor text. So interesting ways to create some synergy within metal. So you make everything cheaper and then you mulligan so we can get those cards later on in the match at a reduced cost. I like that, and you have the damage effect preserved here. So there you have it. Yeah, eventually I think that we'll all have some sort of cost reducer, because it makes sense, right? As long as each is different and interesting, I don't see it as a problem. So the Mechabun. The Mechabun, before on summon you would draw a metal unit. Now upon sunrise, so different trigger, you dust your top dead metal card to get +1/+1. So the Mechabunny is now a metal chomper. He will dust metal units in your graveyard to get buffed, and it comes with the gear grind that we saw up here. So there you have it. Nice. So Glitter. Let's see Glitter, what changed. Glitter has changed a lot since its inception. The original glory effect was dust the enemy's top dead spell to give their hero dazed. Now, upon glory, you conjure a 1-cost enemy spell. Nice. So now you're not just locking the enemy hero and also consuming their dead spells, but you are conjuring enemy spells, cheap enemy spells that you can use right away in the beginning of the game. So there we got. So John is mentioning here that this now is the effect for Spiderella, as we saw above. So there we go. And it kind of makes sense because to really work on a lockout mechanic early game, it's a bit rough. Later on, you should have more tools to deal with that. Early on, depending on your deck, it's really hard to get out of the lock efficiently. So yeah, I like this very much. So Seer's Mask. Seer's Mask, one of our OG cards, as you can see, card number 35. Before you would get 2 mana and then mulligan your hand. Now you get just 1 mana and mulligan your hand, right? It was a lot of free mana for a 0 cost card. So there you have it now. It's a bit more in check. John is mentioning here that this nerfed version will likely show up more as an attachment. So that makes perfect sense. So good old Turn the Tide now has an increased cost of 5. Before, both players would return their hand to the deck and then they'll draw 5. Then your hero would get Vapors. Now both players return their hand to their deck and draw 5. If your mana is empty, you get 5 mana. That's pretty interesting. It kind of reduces overheal and healing, which is some people consider a problem right now. So there you have it. It's one less place to get Vapors. However, if you play this strategically, basically it's a free card, right? So you get a bunch of new cards and you have 5 mana to play right away. So yeah, that's pretty nice. That's very comboable. Good old Take Flight now costs 3. Before, it would return a target sleeping unit to hand. Now it returns target sleeping unit to hand and you give it Silence. Oh, so I think it's a pretty fair trade for 1 extra cost. Let me know if you disagree. Yeah, Silence is such a powerful effect, and if you can just return a unit with a powerful spell or attachment, yeah, Take Flight will be very, very annoying indeed. Voodoo Doll, good old Voodoo Doll, a little Doom Shroom. Now costs 2 instead of 3. Before, you would give a target enemy unit Hex, and then you would summon a copy of this unit as a +1 as a 1/1 with Fate. Now you give a target enemy unit Hex as usual. You summon a copy as a 0/1 with Fate. Yeah, so you get a little less value instead of a 1/1 with Fate, 0/1 with Fate. Is it a terrible nerf? No, I think it's nice. I still like it. And it's a Doom Shroom, so that's all we need. Suit Up. Nice. So before, Suit Up would give target units lead and +2/+2. Now Suit Up draws a unit, you give this unit lead and +3/+3. Yeah. Old effect went to Twisted Metal, okay, yeah. Suit Up was always a very powerful card in my opinion. It was the idea of, after maybe one of those massive chip unit bursts and then you suit them up, it was really hard to deal with. Now I think it's better because imagine, depending on what you draw, +3/+3, if you get a lifesteal unit, that's pretty rough. Or even an armored unit, right? So yeah, there's a lot of potential here. At the same time, by giving it lead, you also put a check on the crazy attachment play. So there you have it. Yeah, Anima won't trigger in hand. Yeah, the big brain people have already started to plan, but yeah, that combo is not possible. So Twisted Metal here now costs 3 instead of 4. Before, it would give a target enemy unit -3/-3. Or a target metal ally +3/+3. Now it gives a target enemy unit -1/-3, or a target ally unit +3 +1 then give it lead. Okay, so it's interesting, right? So it's a great health debuff on enemies, it's a great offensive buff on any unit now, right? Before it was really restricted to metal. Now any unit can get the +3/+1, and you get also lead. So if you want to protect something from dusting, there you have it. So twisted metal is a ticket. Yeah, Zumi, for instance. Yeah, there you have it. Apollo, good old Apollo. Let's see here what changed. Before, on play, it would fight a target enemy unit and then give it blind. So now, upon sunrise, it gains shield if an enemy card is revealed. Interesting. So, nice symbolism here with the god Apollo. I like that. My nerd cred approves. It's also moving from intellect to wisdom and getting a buff in power. So now it's a full 3/3/3. And instead of shield, barrier, Apollo is the barrier guy. Now very specific, good stuff. So if you can reveal lots of cards, Apollo can be a decent cheap card for you. Yeah. So Spider, one of a nice hated unit. It's let's see here. Okay, so I can see that it now is a guard, so spicy. Garden Wither instead of just Wither. It's got a little bit of extra health as a 2/1/4 instead of a 2/1/3. The old effect would, upon summon, give sleeping enemies dazed. Now, upon summon, give a target sleeping enemy dazed. Okay, so yeah, enough of the mass dazing everybody, and let's be a bit more specific to the dazing. Okay, so I approve. Clapback, one of our OG mass AoEs. Before, you would give your hero shield and then do 2 damage to the back enemy, front enemy, and the enemy hero. Now it does 2 damage to the back enemy, front enemy, and enemy hero. No more shield. Okay, so it's a simpler, straightforward effect. Now 3 instances of 2 damage, up to 3 instances. Good stuff. Shredder. Old Shredder on play, your hero would fight a target enemy unit. Okay, now upon play, it fights target enemy unit. Okay, so old effect went to Fury Mask. Yeah, that makes sense. So there we go. Our beloved Coughing Moth. I can see a difference here. The barrier is something new already, definitely. So it has gained Wither, which is a nice mothy effect that I approve. Because of that, the moth lost 1 point of power and the moth gained barrier. I like it, and remains with the classic glory zomboid effect. Nothing changed there. So yeah, good. We love you, moth. Stay with us. Cosmicon, one of my most hated units. So now it costs 4 instead of 2. Big change in the text effect. Before, heroes wouldn't be able to attack. Hero attacks were disabled. Now your hero gets +1 health more from healing effects. Okay, so it's a boost. It's a healing booster. So massively powerful effect. So keep that in mind. And it comes, of course, with a lifesteal. It lost the stealth and gained lifesteal. -1 power, so a measly 1 point of power. However, a chunky 6 health points. And trading barrier for Sanctuary as a spell. Nice. Not a lot of heal synergies in the game so far, so I think this is one of the first ones. So hey, this is pretty cool. And frankly, I like heal synergies tied to units better than tied to spells. I think this makes them a little bit easier to deal with if you can, but it again forces your hand. You play a high this high attention drawing unit. Now it's a must-have target, so I like it. It's a pretty good change. Cosmic on the not attacking part, it would make games a bit stale sometimes, so fully approved. Let's see, of course, what you guys think. That's just my opinion. Krakus lost 1 point of power, okay, because yeah, it was doing good. It's a powerful, chunky unit, so a little bit of a reduction here, nothing major. With also a change to Stir the Kraken, a bit more simplified. Before it would draw a high cost water unit, and then you do damage to a target unit equal to your mana. Now it draws a water unit, you do damage to a target unit equal to your mana. So simplified, removing the high cost to just drawing a water unit, then straightforward, okay? Yeah, simplified, not every draw needs to be low or high cost, as John is mentioning here, which is pretty reasonable. The Bathe now costs 2 instead of 3. Before, you would give allies with attachments Vapors, and then give other allies Mana Potion. Now you give a target Vapors, give characters next to it Mana Potion. So again, instead of the mass vaporing up to 7, if you count your hero, right? Now it can affect up to 3 units, all right? A target and the adjacent character, so can be your hero also. Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good effect, and again, it still has the banner, so there's the extra benefit of that too. Flashbang. Flashbang, before upon death it would give the front enemy blind, and now upon death it will give a random enemy blind. So it becomes a bit more chaotic, which, as John is mentioning here, RNG in theory is a nerf, alright? But again, I don't know. Let me know what you think. I like some random effects for non-crucial stuff like this. So, but that's just me. The nerf always needed, yeah. Cobalt, one of our cheap metal units. Before, upon summon, you would draw a low-cost metal spell onto this unit, and then you would now on summon you draw a metal spell onto this unit. Again, removing the low cost. Now you just draw a metal spell onto this unit. So there you go. And we have an extra point of health, so a bit of a chunkier Cobalt doggy. So good dog. Angler, nice card. Now costs 2 instead of 3. Lost its guard. Lost 1 point of power. Lost and gained 1 point of health. So more efficient stats, as John is mentioning here. Moving a bit down the curve, I like it. I think it's can be a more versatile unit right now, and the summon stays the same, the summon effect, so there we go. Yeah. So the Forest Fire. Good old Forest Fire is cheaper now, so now costs 3, and it's moving to Heart. Welcome. We love you. And good thing. Okay, so unnerfed due to win rate. So yeah, it was hit pretty badly by the last nerf, so it's now unnerfed. Steady Shot now costs 4 from 2, so double the cost. Before, it would do 3 damage to a target sleeping unit or 5 to a target awake unit. Now it will do 8 damage to a target unit. Less conditional, more damage, more expensive, but again, its usability now through the roof. So great removal now at a decent, accessible cost. Pew pew. Nice. Miranda. Good old Miranda. Now a guard. I can see that. So good. Old play effect. It would give a target character Vapors. Now upon summon, you give enchanted allies Vapors. Okay, so potentially more vaporing potential here. So there you have it. But yeah, It's a nice way to counterplay some mass flaming and stuff like that. So, good stuff. Magnanimous. Magnanimous is now cheaper at 6 from 7. Before, the summon effect would give spells and mind units in your hand and deck -1 cost. Now upon summon, you give mind cards in your hand and deck -1 cost. So it's a bit more narrow, alright, so I like the idea of the mind interaction here, so yeah, mind cards in general, I like it. Good stuff, no further changes to Magnanimous. Draco, now upon summon, the old effect on summon, you would ready this unit if your deck were empty. Now you ready this unit if a deck or grave is empty. That's an interesting extra condition here for Draco. Oh, there we go. There's the other half of my decks. Oh no, anti-bans. Interesting. So it can be an interesting card if you sometimes play with mass dusting, or if your enemy manages to overdust your graveyard. So interesting. I like the extra condition here. A Bauble. Old summon would draw low cost air spell onto this unit, and now it's a death effect, not a summon effect. You draw 2 cost card. So there we go. Lao Sensei picked the old draw low cost air spell onto this unit. Good stuff. So Sanson now costs 2 from 3. There's a swap from lifesteal to stealth, and lost 1 point of health, right? So there we have it. Easier to access godlike due to the lower cost, but Sanson itself is now not as powerful as it was before, right? In my opinion, right? I really like the lifesteal on it. Okay, tried and true. Changes in text. So the old sunset would give a mana potion and guard if you have no mana, to tried and true. And now upon sunset it gets mana potion if you have no mana. And it comes right out of the box with guard. So you just need mana potion if you have no mana now, and it's moving from intellect to heart. There we go. So yeah, less conditional. You get more from the get-go, always a good thing. Trident True is being bounced around every prism. Yeah, all the good units should go to heart, we all know that. So let's work on that. Scraggy. Scraggy, the old glory effect would give Scraggy +1/+1 and Scorch. Now upon glory, you dust the enemy's top dead card to get +1/+1 and Scorch. Okay, so now Scraggy is another graveyard muncher. Good stuff, lots of potential here. It's a pretty mighty card if you can really get it going, but it's such a high priority card that it seldom survives fast. So there we go. Love to see him get a buff. Yeah, Dispatch is about grave dusting, absolutely. So let's see here. OPAL Golem. Old death effect would give units in your hand -1 cost. Now, upon death, you give units in your hand -1 cost and guard. Okay, so extra guard love here. Nice. Last time we saw this effect may have been in alpha. Yeah, I do remember something like that a long time ago, and it certainly wasn't in OPAL Golem. But yeah, I don't remember exactly which card granted this. Ifrit, my bane in Discovery. Let's see here what happened. So now on death you discard your hand and then you draw that many fire cards. Now upon death you discard your non-fire cards and then you draw that many fire cards. Yes, much needed consistency for fire people, fire lovers. So good stuff. Like John is mentioning here, your Mother Mander and all the other fire goodness, they are safe. Yeah, that's a pretty decent change to Ifrit. Makes usability much better now. Get 'em Gang, losing 1 point of health, right? So yeah, Get 'em Gang consistently is oppressive when played late game, so that won't change much in the bigger picture. Get him. Tat. Tat is cheaper at 3 from 4, lost a lot of health from 3 to 1. Alright, so because of the shield shenanigans, it was maybe a bit too survivable at 3 health. So now you have to be a bit more careful and mindful when playing Tat. Okay, dive to zap. So it's a big incentive here. There we go. Glacia. Glacia is the next in line. She lost the banner, so now only the guard keyword. And Old Death effect. If you had no mana, you would give everybody, all the enemies frozen, not everybody. And now, upon death, give enemy units frozen. So, removing the conditional effect of the no mana. When she dies, everybody gets frozen. Not everybody, every unit. Control yourself, Marcelo. Alright. So, the Dragomantium now officially called the Dracomantium. So, there we go. Your voices were heard. And different text before, upon death, it would give your hero armor. Now, upon death, you dust your top 2 dead metal cards to give your hero armor. So now you have to fulfill a much more stricter condition to get the amazingly coveted hero armor effect, right? So keep that in mind. And to compensate for those stricter conditions, you get 1 extra point of health. Alright, so there we have it. Yeah, hero armor is a pretty big deal, so I like to see a bit more focused and conditional conditions for hero armor. Okay, Cloud Kid. Lots of changes here. So it looks like a complete rework. Now it costs 1 from 2. It lost 1 point of power, now only 1 power, same health. Now it's an agility from intellect card, and the spell, instead of getting the shroud attachment, it now comes with Hush, as you saw above, the silence giving effect. And now, upon the old effect, the summon effect would give your left and right spells in hand -1 cost. Now it's an Inspire Air, so no more summon. You mulligan your high cost cards in hand. That's interesting. So it can be a nice high cost filter if you're trying to pull off something wild relatively earlier on. Interesting. So can be a potent tutoring tool, so keep that in mind. Nice. Replaces Grifter as agility is 1 cost air card and less knives. Oh no, we need more knives, not less knives. Mad Hat. Mad Hat now different text completely. Before it was a play, now it's a summon. Before, upon a play, a target owner draws a low-cost mind spell onto it, and now, upon summoning, you give your left and right cards in hand -1 cost, which is the old Cloud Kid effect, as John has mentioned earlier. So, good things. Our Ice Dragon here, Cryogen, gained Stealth, so it's now a stealthy dragon, right? Must be all that ice and all that blue. So there we have it. Alright, it wasn't doing that great in terms of win rate, so let's see if stealthy dragons can help your chances here. Sanctuary. I think it's a nerf in a nerf. So the old text would return target allied spell to your hand if it has 1, and then you give it shield +3 health. Now you return target allied spell to your hand and you give it shield and +2 health. Yeah, a little bit of removal in health here, and yeah, the on-demand shield is always beneficial, right? So, and it can be a lifesaver in some situations. So there you have it. Breaker Crab now costs 2 from 3. Gained guard. It's now a strength card from heart. Lost 2 power, so now it's 2/2/3. Keep that in mind. And upon death it would get 3 mana. Now when the crab dies you get 2 mana. Yeah, it's a smaller crab, right? It's not such a one of those Arctic crabs, but now it's maybe a Mediterranean crab, which is still a good crab. It's an honest crab. Chain Toss. Old text would give a target unit chains. Now you give a target unit chains, that's pretty much the same thing, but you dust your top Death Med card to target a hero. Oh, nice. So later on, if you have a dead metal card, you can also target a hero. That's chunky. Yeah. Chain Golem. Chain Golem is now cheaper at 3 from 4. Also lost 1 point of power. Now 4 from 5. Lost 1 point of health. Before it would be a lead card. Now it comes with Chain Toss. And the old death effect would give enemies chains. Now the new death effect gives your hero Chain Toss. Pretty interesting. Nice rework. Definitely moving down the curve, so it can be a problem earlier in the game, which is always welcome. I usually approve of armored units having less health, so that's also a plus. And it's still a powerful card with 4 power early on, plus a lot of chains actions, which can open up the way for glories and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's a nice Chain Toss carrier, as Jonas mentioned here. I like it. Soul Tide Hunter, remove it. It's a reduction in cost. Now 3 from 4. 4 health instead of 5. So going a bit down the curve. It's a very chunky and useful card, I think, at 3 cost. So there you have it. Supercharge now gets better, as I can see. Before you would pay 1 cost for each ally unit, and then ally units get zap. Now you spend 1 mana for each ally unit and then give ally units zap. Okay, so there we have it. Yeah, it's a nice little buff, and it's a much beloved spell. So there we go. Shockpaw, the bearer of this effect, now lost its glory, the old glory, the enemy hero blind, unfortunately, but now also a changing keyword. So withering, yeah, I think it makes much more sense for a Shockpaw to be a wither card instead of a lifesteal, right? Electric lifesteal, maybe only for Frank. Makes sense. The Root Hog, pretty annoying Root Hog. Now summon. Okay, so the old summon would dust your top dead earth card to give you the front and back enemies roots. Now upon summon you dust your bottom dead earth card to give enemy units roots. So now instead of being the top dead earth card, it's the bottom one, but now everybody gets rooted except the hero, right? Every unit. So it's a bit of a wider rooting effect for the same cost. And if you dust from the bottom, you usually dust something that's weaker, in theory. So I don't know, if you want to preserve your stronger earth cards, you can do that now. Yeah, that's pretty good. So it lost the Stranglehold spell, and there's a bit of a switcheroo between power and health, so it's much less powerful at 3 from 5, but it's also much sturdier, which is great, always great for guard units at 6. So yeah, it's pretty good. Remains good. We'll see a lot of uses for sure. Headcase moving from strength from choose strength from intellect. Lost 1 point of health, now 5. The old summon would dust your top high costed spell, then to gain power equal to its cost. Now it's a sunset effect, not a summon. So you dust your top dead spell to gain power equal to its cost. Ooh, that's scary as hell. So the headcase can really potentially be a very annoying. So wow, I'm eager to see what you guys can do with that. Chief Justice now costs 3. There was a change. It's no longer an armored unit, but it's a banner unit coming from heart, 2 heart from wisdom, and gained Ragnarok instead of smite. That's a pretty nice effect. So total cost of 6 now. Famine saying the head case can make a case out of your head after he cracks it open with 1 hit. Yeah, this, if you can get it going for a couple of turns, yikes. Pretty scary. So the old effect for Chief Justice, upon play you would give a target unit silence. Now it's a glory effect, so you give light cards in your hand minus 1 cost. So again, the elemental cost reduction effect is now carried by Chief Justice. So he lost the silencing shenanigans, and now it's much more of a buffer and generator of cost. So that's nice. Andromeda. The old Andromeda would cause your spells to do 1 extra damage. Now your light and metal spells do 1 more damage. So it's much more restrictive now. Okay. You'll see other cards just as in Fuego. Yeah. If you want extra damage from some elements, you have to do a bit of extra legwork here. Yeah, feels like a weird nerf, if I'm saying. So Timber now costs 5 from 6, lost all its power, lost 1 point of health, so it's a weaker Timber. It's not a big redwood now, it's not a sequoia, it's just maybe an oak. And the old death effect would do 6 damage to the front enemy. Now on death you do 5 damage to the front enemy. Okay, so it's a pretty consistent moving down the curve here, so no problems here. Unstoppable Chop now costs 1 less, costing 3 from 4. The old text would give target unit silence and then do 5 damage to it. Now it gives a target unit silence and do 4 damage to it. So again, cheaper, less damage, but remains pretty useful, and you still get the silencing. So there you go. Becomes a bit more accessible, as John is saying here. The Incinerate. Before it would do 4 damage to a target unit and 2 damage to your hero, and now it does 4 damage to the target unit and 1 damage to your hero. Alright, so now it's the equivalent of fetching hot pizza in the oven instead of sticking your hand in hot soup. Yeah, that's good. It's a nice little buff. So there you have it. Capsize now costs 3 from 2, so a bit more expensive. Before it would return target units to hand and then give them mana flask. Now it return a target unit to hand and give it mana potion. Alright, so there's a different trade-off here. Yeah, an unconditional bounce seems more fair at 3 cost. That's what John is saying here, and it feels very reasonable. Good stuff. We're getting there, folks. We're almost there. Everybody, let's drink some water. Join me in the hydration. or pull up your blankies if you're in the southern hemisphere. And let's see here. Tempest Brew. Now with banner. That's always a good thing. And before you would draw 3 units of different elements, and each one of those would get a zap. Now you draw 3 units of different elements and you give them zap. Okay, so it's just a bit of buffy in terms of the banner and change in description here. This one, right? Yeah, no problem. It's all good, John. It's all good. So there we go. Mainly then it's the banner buff there. So Seek also getting a banner. So yikes. Before you would draw a high cost spell and then give your hero mana flask. And now you draw a high cost spell and then you give your hero mana potion. So similar change to what we had earlier, right? Alright, it's interesting. Is this a +1 cost banner? Yeah, good question. Evermore, for the Edgar Allan Poe fans out there, is now cheaper. John was originally worried that this would be too good at 4 cost, but here we are, right? It wasn't used, so let's make it cheaper. Let's see if it sees use. I think it's pretty amazing cost at 2. So yeah, I don't mind it at all, especially because it's hard. Yeah, it's close to my heart, pun intended. And treasure chest. Before it would draw a spell on a unit, and now it gives your hero +2 health and draw a spell on a unit. Yeah, so we have the old healing effect back into place for the treasure chest. Now it's a more bountiful chest. And a little heart buff, and we all love heart buffs, right? Right? Backstab. Backstab lost its withering effect, so now it's only a lifesteal effect. Before it would do damage equal to the number of enemies to the back enemy. Now you do 3 damage to the back enemy. It's a bit more simplified, straightforward. Because it's lifesteal, you can get a decent chunk of healing depending on how you play it and when you play it. At 2 cost, I think it's a decent change here. Famani saying that unironically I adore the 2 health on this spell because it means you don't die from overdraw at 1/2 for the clutch plays. Yeah, it's a fair point. In the old days where we would have different rules for conjure and drawing and etc. It made sense, then we changed. But yeah, I think it's more useful with the heal. It's not a huge heal and it's not something too abusable. At least I don't see it as being abusable. You guys would know better. So, fair enough. Snap Trap, now cheaper trap, costing 2, moving from strength to agility now. Before it would give a target unit chains and then clamp for 3 damage. Now it gives a sleeping target chains and then you do 3 damage to that. Okay, so a different condition now. So interesting. Yeah, bear traps are so obvious because you really gotta be sleeping to step on one. So from a lore point of view, it makes sense. The dad jokes are real. Dive Bomb. Dive Bomb lost its banner. Oh no. Before it would do 2 damage to a target and then you would draw a 2 cost unit into play. Now it does 2 damage to a target, draw a 2 cost unit into play and then give it Shroud. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, as John is mentioning here, I also see the loss of banner plus the Shroud as a nerf. But yeah, again, I can see situations in which this is useful. So there you have it. Yeah. Giving Shroud is a double-edged sword. Yeah, whenever you give a unit, you force an attachment upon a unit, you limit it, right? Because a lot of units depend upon their spells and etc. You're losing that. So there's always a trade-off. But again, if you're getting just one of the big hitters, or a card with only decent glory and text effects, it's a free Shroud, which can be useful if this card is to stay in the playing field for an extra round. So yeah, it's a give or take. Definitely a nerf, but it's not such a tragedy. Card sling, big changes here. So before you would discard your left card in hand to do damage equal to its cost to a target unit, and then you would draw 2. So now you discard your left card in hand to draw 2 of its element and then do 4 damage to a target unit. Okay, so an easier filter. It's a bit more stable to just how much damage you get, so now you don't have to be really saving up those cheap 1-2 cost cards for card sling. That's nice. I like this change. I think it will be very useful. Volcanic Potion. Okay, so before you would do 2 damage to each unit and then both players would lose 1 maximum mana. Now you dust the top card of both graves, then you do 2 damage to each unit and both players lose 1 maximum mana. So we are knee deep into this idea of the fire element really being the dustiest element, which makes sense, right? So a bit more flavor, a bit more consistency to the whole elemental space. I like that. Yeah, press F for fire and flames and dusting. Blade Master lost 1 point of health. It was doing pretty great, right? There were some nasty combos out there. So yeah, so there we have it. It deserved a little bit of a whack from the nerf bat. Faman is asking if Volcanic Potion fizzle, if Volcanic Blast can't dust. I would imagine so, but let's confirm with John. Seems like because it comes first here, it feels like it's a condition, right? So, but let's let the game designer speak. So let's see. Ron doesn't believe so. Should work anyway. So okay, so it's not conditioning. I was wrong. There you have it. Yeah, good stuff. It's always important to realize this kind of stuff, right? Because there are similar cards in which the dusting is a condition. Others, like this one, it's not. So there you have it. Very valid question, Faman. Thank you. Sharkram, and now switcheroo from Wither to Lifesteal. I like that. I think it's a nice way to just slam the enemy hero for some quick healing in case of danger, and you're getting the Firemander anyway, so there you have it. Grief Scout, good old reliable. Now cheaper, costing 4, losing a bit of health to 1, so now we are right there. It's a very, very fragile scout. The old glory effect would summon an armored guard. However, now you, upon glory, you dust your top dead metal card to summon an armored card. Okay, so there we have it. Another instance of metal dusting here. Bit more consistency in the mind space and etc. Rip to the armored guard fest of 2020. Hammerhead. Hammerhead, the old summon would give 3 cost or less enemy units dazed. Now on summon, give dazed to the low cost enemy units. Alright, so instead of just being a 3 cost or less, the Hammerhead can really daze anybody depending on when and how you play it. So I think it's better overall. It gives it a more strategic depth, and at the same time it's a nice way to nerf the mass dazing that was going on rampant. Yeah, I like that. I think it's a pretty good effect, but only because I was receiving those mass dazings. Alright. Words on curve? Possibly. Let's see. Force field lost its bannering because the effects, the shield and barriers alone are pretty powerful as it is. You don't need an extra point in attack that round. Halcyon, trading Ragnarok for shield. It's an important change here. At the same time, it gets lifesteal. So, interesting. I like this change. Extra keyword is always a sign of love. Squiddy. The old Squiddy would conjure a 1-cost enemy card upon glory. Now, upon glory, you conjure a 1-cost enemy unit. Okay, so it's much more specific now into conjuring units instead of just any enemy card. Nice. So now Glitter is the spell thief and Squiddy is the unit thief. That's pretty okay. Wicked Twister, an old favorite. Card number 27, so you see it's very early in development here. It didn't have any text. Now it comes with a glory. So upon glory, you dust the enemy's top dead cards for each damage dealt. Yikes. So there you have it. It's a nice incentive to just try to keep it alive a bit further. It's not just the hurricane here, right? And if you can get some glories, it's a pretty nice way to basically raise your enemy's graveyard. Okay, so it might be a very good counter to Flame Phoenixes and stuff like that. So there you have it. Anti-Mago. Good old Anti-Mago. Or Anti-Mago, depending on the language you speak. The old glory effect would dust the enemy stop that spell to give that hero flames. Now, upon glory, you dust the enemy stop that card to give their enemy hero flames. So instead of just dusting spells, the glory will dust the top dead card to fuel the flames of Anti-Mago. And Anti-Mago, a bit of a switcheroo, which has the potential of making Anti-Mago even peskier, because now it's a 3 health unit with armor. So you're not getting most of your utility from Anti-Mago from the power in itself, right? You're getting the nastiness and the abuse from the glory effect. So now, with extra armor, it can go the long haul now into really making the enemy hero's life much more annoying. Anti-Mago. Oh no, Antibans, come on, behave. And Trapper Keeper. Let's see what changes here. Big changes here. The old Trapper Keeper would, upon death, draw 2 spells. Now it's not a trigger, it's a text. So when the enemy plays a spell, kill this unit to cancel the spell. Oh my, so we have the first counter spell in the game. Interesting. A lot of people wanted some sort of counter spelling and stuff like that, right? So, oh no, it's the beginning of the equivalent of the blue heresy coming to Skyweaver. Alright. And it's a 1/5, exactly. So, yeah, the idea is really keeping the Trapper Keeper alive to make sure that you can really counter something, right? So, interesting. Again, it's not on demand, right? Because you see it, it's there, it's a condition. It's not like an instant or an interrupt as in other games, which is much more aggravating. But now when you play it, you know it's there. So you have to really understand what's going on, right? But again, it's a spell, not units. So you can play units and kill the keeper with units, and then you're good to go for your spells. So there's a lot of depth here, so keep that in mind. It's moving from heart to intellect, which makes sense due to the new effect. Complete stat rework, now it's a 1-5 instead of being a 2-2. And also, because it's made to die, it comes with fate. So, nice. Love it. I think it's a very smart way to offer some counter-spelling possibilities to the game without being that annoying anti-playing situation of general counter-spelling in other games. So yeah, I like it. Approved. Oh, Starfield and now Cosmos again. Oh no. Good old Starfield. I was so used to Starfield by now. The more I look at this unit, the more cursed it is. That's a pretty good one. So, moving from heart to intellect, yeah, I don't want it as Cosmos in heart. You can go to intellect, you pleb cat. And the Old Glory would draw a 2-cost spell onto the Cosmos. And now, on Glory, it gets your top dead spell. Oh, that's a nice way to cycle through some dead spells in your graveyard. I like it. Nice recursion possibilities here. Interesting. And again, makes a lot of sense being in intellect. Okay. We'll miss you, cat. The Earth Spike. Lost its wither before it would give a target roots, and then dust your bottom dead Earth card to do 3 damage to it. And now the damage occurs first. The rooting was happening first before. Now you do 3 damage to target, and then you dust your bottom dead Earth card to give it roots. So, important change in when things happen in here, so keep that in mind. And also lost the withering, okay? So, it's a more reliable removal, less reliable hero roots, as John is mentioning here, which is cool. Ill Will, which is one of our big, most loved / hated cards. Ill Will is good enough as it is. It doesn't need banner. And yeah, I think it's okay, alright? There are I saw a lot of discussions about Ill Will, saying that yeah, Ill Will was great, Ill Will was terrible. If you play Ill Will, you're spending 6 mana, and then you're probably not doing much in that round. I think all those arguments are valid. I think that are some situations in which Ill Will is absolutely terrifying. In other situations, if you play it wrongly, yeah, you're kinda not doing a lot yourself that round. So it opens up the potential, and again, it's player skill gated, which I think it's always the best gate. Alright, so there you have it. But yeah, even in the worst situations, it didn't need banner. So that's being removed now. Alright. So Fly Guy. Fly Guy lost 1 point of power, but it got a nice fate effect. So yeah, again, for a card that is made to have a short lifespan of a fly, that makes a lot of sense to get the fate here. So yummy, I like that. And I think that the power reduction is pretty fair considering that you're getting fate now. So there we go. Nice. Mr. Whiskers now has a sunset effect, right? At sunset, the cat dusts the enemy's top dead card. So Mr. Whiskers goes through the enemy's graveyard and starts munching on their dead cards. That's pretty nice. Yeah, very durable unit. So Mr. Whiskers now can't be ignored. That's a free dust, exactly. So you get at least 1 free dust, right? Potentially much more if you leave the cat on its own. So keep that in mind. Speaking about Frank, we have one of the OG dusters here. Now it costs 5 instead of 6. Reduction in power and health. It comes with lead, which is an interesting change here. So Frank now cannot be dusted. The power of Frankenstein cannot be denied. And now upon the old effect was sunrise, dust your top dead non-dark unit to get a +5 health. Now it's a sunset, so you dust the top unit of both graves to get +2 healths. Yikes. So yeah, it won't be that huge spike like from 5.5 to 5.10 that it was earlier if you could get that sunrise. But now you can get at least one blink of sunset right away in the end of your turn. So it will be very easy to have a 4/6 Frank at the end of your turn. I like the LED very much. I think the not allowing Frank to be dusted, it's very thematic. So that's okay. Yeah, interesting. I really like it. I think it's a very sensible change here. John is saying overgrave? Yeah. Now it's gonna be the grave patch. It should be not kitchen nightmares, but grave nightmares, right? That would be the best name for this patch. It's now unofficially grave nightmares. Razzle Dazzle, now moving to intellect from heart, getting a banner, so that's always potent by itself. Bannering should never be underestimated. The old effect would give your hero barrier and then enemy units dazed, so it was one of the OG mass dazers. Now it gives dazed to enemies of target unit's element. Reveal that element in the enemy's hand. Oh, that's interesting. So now instead of just bam, carpet dazing everybody, you have to choose the best element to daze, but with the added perk of revealing that element in the enemy's hand, which is pretty nice. It's always a nice effect. Thus the change to intellect makes a lot of sense, because intellect is the revealing prism right now. And even if you did a wrong bet or you get just a simple daze, one daze, because there are enemies of all different elements there, you still get the banner effect. So yeah, it's well rounded now. I like it. Okay. Epic Ego now moving. Yeah, it's basically a rebalance here. It was a 6/3, now it's a 5/4. So a bit of extra health will go a long way, I think. 3 health without any sort of protection is really dangerous. Of course it has stealth, but anyway. Cool. Nasi costs 1 less at 3 and lost 1 potential power, because the sunset effect in itself is super strong, and the reduction in cost later on will basically make up for this loss in power earlier on. So yeah, it should be okay. John is mentioning mana floats here. Yeah, it's pretty sensible. Old Fogey, we're almost there, folks. Old Fogey. The old text is upon death, it would dust your bottom dead earth card to gain 1 maximum mana. Now no dusting chomping cards anymore. You just get 1 maximum mana. It's simple and straightforward, and we all love Old Fogey. Arcadium Mask. Oh, one of our most beloved cards. Lost its stealth, so yikes, that's a big nerf to Arcadium Mask, because it kinda relied on its stealth to stay alive and do the devil's work, and also due to the changing Sphere Mask, you can do less with Arcadium Mask, right? Which is okay, because it's probably one of the most powerful Inspire effects in the game, right? So it's an amazing card, but it has to be toned down a bit. Yeah, Faman saying this is a nice buff, although honestly Foggy never had a problem dusting an earth card because it could always dust itself for the maximum mana. Yeah, and exactly. And I think that because of that, the simplifying it makes more sense, right? And now you have the added benefit of Old Fogey itself being another Earth dead card in your graveyard that you can use maybe for something else, right? So yeah, it's a nice buff and simplification. Ikaru now is a stealthy Ikaru. Okay, a little bit of a buff to heart because it was not doing great. The hot Doge. I like to call it the hot doggy, but anyway. The old summon would ready this unit and then draw a low-cost fire spell onto it. Now, upon summon, you draw a low-cost fire spell onto this unit. Readies if you have fire in hand. Nice. I think this is maybe a better condition, which makes it a bit harder to use, right? Because you have to plan for that. But so it's objectively worse in Discovery. In Constructed, and if you're playing around with a fire deck, it's all good. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Antiban is asking how was Mask fixed. Instead of getting 2 mana, you're getting just 1 mana now. So there you have it. You're talking about Arcadium Mask. Yeah, because now it lost the stealth, and because of the nerf in Seer's Mask, it has less mana right when you play it to do the devil's work. So it's a double nerf. Call to Mind, instead of being an X cost, now it's a 1 cost. And the text changes also. So before you would pay all your mana, that's the X, right? Then you draw a high cost spell onto your hero with that cost or less, and then you give it minus X cost, which is a pretty complex set of conditions for no players, right? Now, at 1 cost, it draws a high cost spell that costs your mana or less onto a target ally. So you're always drawing something that you can play, alright? So keep that in mind. I think it makes it easier to understand also. So yeah, I think that's a good change. And Call to Mind was doing great in several decks. So yeah, I think things will change, but not by much. I think it's still a very powerful, decent card. Soulforge. Before would summon a copy of your left unit in hand as a 2/2 with lead and armor. Now it gives your left unit in hand lead. Then you summon a copy of that unit as a 2/2 with armor. Ooh, nice. So another buff, right? Good stuff. It's a bit more because it's in hand now. Yeah, it's a nerf and buff at the same time. Depends on the situation. It's a bit more situational. So cool. Mass Confuse now reduced in cost, right? Because it can be amazing, but especially against strength, it's very lackluster because almost all the time, due to the armoring and etc., units won't kill themselves, so it won't do what it needs to do. Alright, so there we have it. So Faman is asking, is it just me or has Metal gone from having a positive and negative enchant to having 2 negative enchants? Only if you consider lead as a negative one, right? And I don't think it is. Yeah, that's how I see it, at least. I think lead is amazing in several situations. I've lost matches because of lead alone. I couldn't dust something and then bam. So there you have it. So Mimic is now called an imposter. I like this. It's a nice word. And it's easier to translate in other languages. Cost now at 3 from 2. The old summon would gain the keywords of enemies, stealth over guard, and now on summon it steals a target enemy's keywords. Alright, so now it's really more of a thief than a copier, so keep that in mind. It comes with stealth, so also a free keyword to begin with, and then you have a change in power and health. So now it's a more it's geared towards offensive play. Yeah, much more disruptive. I like this. Yeah, this is... Yeah, exactly. Lead can be negative in sometimes. That's why it's only maybe... It's not a clear-cut buff or buff or debuff. So yeah, I also understand what you're saying. The Undragon was unnerfed. Rejoice. Now it comes with 8th health again. I like it. Jar of Souls also buffed. Alright, so the new Jar of Souls wasn't doing too hot at 8. So the fast souls haven't been too spooky, as John is saying here. So that makes sense. Lao Sensei, now picking up the slack from Bobble. So the old Inspire Air effect was mulligan your non-air cards in hand. It was basically this air filter, and give your left card in hand -1 cost. Now it's a summon effect. Upon summon, you draw a low-cost air spell onto this unit and then give it banner. Nice. So there you have it, and it lost the Shroud. It's a bit simpler, easier to understand, has decent utility, all good. Trinket here, now costing 3 from 4, swapping the old Toy on Trouble for Shroud, which is a simplification, but it's kind of a nerfy, I don't know. Let's see the new summon effect. The old one was return your top dead 1 cost or less card to hand. Now the new summon is return your top dead 1 cost card to hand. Okay, so it's more specific and focus on niche recursion roll. Okay, makes sense. Righteous, look at the Righteous, how foreboding it is. Cost now 4 from 5. The old text is when another unit was killed, you would dust it instead to give your hero +1 health. Now no more healing. Now the new text is when a non-metal card would enter the grave, dust it instead. So it's basically a metal filter. So keep that in mind that it works for everybody, not just for the enemy, alright? So be aware. Changing element from air to metal, of course, and changes in stats. Now it's a 3/4 instead of being a 4/5. Okay. Very, very spooky nature. Gotta be smart when playing that one. Yeah. Fan of Knives. Look at this new art. How amazing. I love it. I like the old Fan of Knives art also, but yeah, this is much more dynamic. It fits better the agility theme, so all good. So the old Glory was simplicity itself, right? It would get knives. Now you dust your top dead metal card to get knives as a Glory effect, right? So you have a specific addition here. So there you have it. No Fan of Knives. Octavian also. I love this art. Mamma mia. That's a nice squiddy ship crunching enemy. So, okay. Got a banner also. So Octavian has a positive effect on your morale and it's very visible. So good stuff. End game Buffy, not bad. Brawl is becoming stronger and more fragile now. Instead of being a 3/4, it's now a 4/3. Changing role, more or less. I think it makes sense for stealthy units to be more powerful than they are healthier. So yeah. Heavy Cavalry now is a lead cavalry. So we have the lead effect, 1 less power. So it's a 5/3/3 now. The old summon would draw an armor unit and then give it -1 cost. The new summon draws a metal unit, and then you give it lead and -1 cost. Okay, so changing armor conditions and flavor to a more lead-oriented flavor. Okay, that's nice. Yeah, lead birth, lead birth. Singstone, removing the zomboid, the guardy zomboid shenanigans, right? So there we have it. It was a card that was always doing great. So now, upon death, you just summon a regular zomboid. No more guardy zomboids. Swamp Walker got an extra point in power, so that's pretty good. And the power plus Wither is always mighty, so that's pretty nice. Faman is asking, quick question: do you think the meta would be able to handle if Mana Potion or even Mana Flask were main deckable? Whew. I don't know. That's a very good question. I pass this question to John, right? Because he knows the long game here. I don't think it's such a good idea. I think it would be exploitable, and yeah, John is mentioning probably not in the current prisms. Yeah, I think it doesn't fit quite well. Carrion Crow. Changing text. So the old summon would dust the top dead unit of both graves to draw a low-cost dark spell onto this unit. Now you dust the enemy's top dead unit to draw a low-cost dark spell onto this unit. Simple and more offensive dusting. I like it. I think it's a very good change for the Crow. Fan Dancer now comes with a Shroud. Right, so there you have it. The great glory effect, and I won a game oppressively with Fan Dancer because of the glory effect and some very strategic buffing Ragnarok and stuff like that. So yeah, there you have it. Nice. So Norsuda Vest. I still read it Norsuda Vest, but that will never change. Nice. So a bit of a switcheroo here in terms of stat priority. Now we are going full force into power and removing 1 point from health. Okay, so now Norsuda Sylvest is basically a mega brawler. Hannah, with the new art, which is lovely, now costs 2. It's a bit of a rework then. The old text would on play swap attachments with the target, and now the new play swap attachments with a sleeping target, so it's a bit more specific. Hannah lost its armor, so now it's just stealth, and had the good old switcheroo in power and health, so now it's a 2-3 instead of being a 3-2. But Hannah gained the Vial. Interesting. So she comes with the spicy Vial. Nice, I like it. We need to really create a mana grenade card or something like that to attach to Hannah, but yeah, that can wait. The Vial will do for now. Vitalize now costs 1. Moved from heart to heart from wisdom. The old text would set a target unit's power equal to its health and then give it roots and guard. Now you give a target unit roots and guard and set its power equal to its health. So it's pretty much a buff, and at 1 cost, yikes. Alright, so yeah, though not in Nico's prism. Yeah, Nico with Vitalize is a big yikes, definitely. And you can always play dual prism, so let's see. Rip stealing hero lad, yeah. So Seashore, moving to intellect from wisdom. The old would give your hero vapors, and then if your mana is empty, reveal a low cost card in the enemy hands. Okay, now give your hero vapors and reveal the low cost cards in the enemy hands. Okay, so no more empty mana conditions for Seashore, which is okay. Alright, so it's a good effect. Shouldn't have a lot of conditions. Hope. So yeah, Hope is getting 1 extra health. We all like that. No problems here. Fuji is getting 1 extra power. So there we have it. A bit of a spicier Firefox. Oh, Mighty Steed, look at that. It's a crystal steed. Love it. So now dipping even harder into the defensive role as a 2-5 instead of being a 3-4. So yeah, I think removing the Mighty Steed is a mighty effort indeed, right? Because removing a 5 health armored unit is no picnic. So there we have it. Ooh, Priestess now is called the Mamba, and with a spicier illustration here. Nice. Very swampy looking, I like it. It's a nasty, nasty snake. Now costs 4 instead of 6. Completely different keywords, and now it's a Stealth Wither instead of being a Guard Lifesteal, which thematically would make sense in my opinion. It's no longer a dark card, it's an earth card. It moves from heart to agility. Power completely different and health completely different. Now it's a 4-3 instead of being a 1-6. And now instead of being in hand, gets -1 cost when an ally dies. It's upon sunrise, it gets fate. And it comes with Anima instead of Wed Dead. Oh, wow, completely different card. Nice. So yeah, we can count the new Mamba as a new card because it's completely different from the old Priestess. Alright. Nice. Mamba is missing a period in the sunrise, unplayable. That's a good spot. Nice. Thanks for that. Vishiva now 2 cost. Wow. And reduction in health also, so back to the 2 cost version. Because the Royal Mummy is not as fearsome as it was. Okay, Telenus gets 5 power and 4 health now from 3-5. So a bit of a buff and a rework in stats. And that's it. That's the last one. Whew! John and Coulter, they have been busy. Oh, hail the design team. Good stuff. Then finally some changes in Prism here. Nice. So a Sky Key now is Century Key. And is moving from Heart to Wisdom. Tychos is called Psychosis and it's moving from Intellect to Heart. Welcome. Skyweaver is moving from Wisdom to Intellect. Teleport is moving from Agility to Intellect. Burying Snow is moving from Heart to Agility. Bolster is moving from Intellect to Heart. Nature's Grasp from Agility to Wisdom. Scorch from Agility to Heart. Skewer is moving from Agility to Strength. Blow Away from Agility to Heart. Icy Touch moving from Agility to Intellect. From Intellect to Agility, sorry. Screech from Token, now it's a new Agility card. Mad Vibes is now Agility from Heart. Honor Guard from Strength to Agility. Ooh, that's a big change. Sudden Gust from Heart to Agility. Skyfall, now Agility from Intellect. The big change also. Olympia now is an Intellect from Strength. Wow, that's a pretty wild change. Electric Eo from Agility to Intellect. Yeah, a lot of Intellect cards were moved to Heart, so those changes make sense. Vlad is not moving from Agility to Heart. Welcome back. We love you, Vampire. Shelly is now a token from Strength, so you can only get it from the other effect. Royal Mummy is now a token from Heart, so there we go. Doomshroom is now a token. Why? No. Don't break my heart. And Epitaph is now a token from Strength. That made me sad. Oh no, I didn't see that earlier. Damn. Damn, no respect for the shrooms. Alrighty. So yeah, that's probably one of the beefier balance patches that we've had in a while. And that's good, right? Because a lot of people were a bit upset with the balance right now. So John has done quite a few changes. So we hope you like them. And that's it. Alright. And I know that the questions now would be, Marcelo, when is the open beta? Alright. Come on, tell us, and etc. And this patch today, we were discussing about releasing and making public the date, right? And the date is, I can't say, not yet. Boo me, throw me, tomatoes, yeah, I know. The thing is, we know the date internally already, but we need still some final little touches, alright? Yeah, I know I said that before, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry for overhyping everybody for you today, alright? Don't hate me, alright? Amanda has tomatoes, oh no. But what's the deal? Relax, because the date hasn't changed, right? We're not moving it back. We're just withholding information about it for maybe a week or two, while we need some other stuff here. So, along with everything that's being done, we are moving steadily towards open beta. So tutorial is another checkbox that we had to tick. The Twitch extension, as you can see, it's well developed and should be ready in maybe 4 weeks. I'll let you guys know, maybe in 2 patches. And those are also ticks that needed to be ticked. What's the next big one after tutorial? Probably economy, and Salvatore is working hard on that along with the rest of the team, alright? And we should have a huge blog post in the next few days going into very, very specific detail about it. And when we are ready to have the announcement, I'll make another live stream whenever it is, right? It doesn't need to be on a Wednesday or Saturday. Whenever we are good to tell you guys, I'll let everybody know. I'll ping in announcements to tell you about the day, alright? So, yeah, it's super close. So, in the meanwhile, just grind your X with the new patch, try the new cards, which are amazing, and let us know what you think, alright? Share your feedback with John and myself and the rest of the team in the beta sections, okay? Thanks a lot for all the amazing work. You guys are awesome. You have helped us tremendously. You don't even know that. So there we go. Next Saturday, another stream. Hopefully my internet doesn't go alright, and hopefully I'm alive with this heat. And that's it. Okay, so patch notes coming soon in the chat. Patch coming live tomorrow by the end of the day, as usual. To our friends in Canada, today's Canada Day. It's a holiday for most Horizon workers. John is there in the US, so he's not on holiday. Same here in Spain. So there you have it. All right. Thanks a lot for our Canadian friends. We really appreciate you guys. And that's it. So I'm going back to the Discord to send them some more codes, and you can throw me tomatoes over there. Sorry. See you in Sky, folks. Talk to you later.